By becoming aware of our true nature, then redirecting our thoughts, intentions, and actions towards creating our own individual and collective will on this planet, we are able to reinstate our natural path towards enlightenment and our ascension through the conscious experience to be able to evolve into the higher beings we were always meant to become. The fundamental nature of the universe is loving and compassionate. The man we came to know as Jesus in the biblical texts represents this higher consciousness and came into the incarnate reality to teach a higher consciousness of unconditional love for all things. It is also said that his individual genetics carried a higher frequency DNA code, which restored the potential for each human being to be able to realize his own full potential as a multidimensional being, thereby allowing each of us to individually transcend this third-dimensional reality. Although we vow as decent human beings to learn from our mistakes, do we learn? As history goes on repeating, it suggests that we, as the collective consciousness, go on making the same mistakes, and we draw to ourselves the same scenarios in different guises to show us ourselves, in the hope that we will see the mistakes and change our behaviours. When did you last do something differently? Those things that you feel are like a stuck record and driving you up the wall, why are you still doing them? What can you do today to release from your habits and experience something new? What can you do to release the old and bring in the new? The slightest but honest commitment to changing your reality can be the first step to freedom. Freedom from the collective unconscious and freedom from your own chains which you have expertly and magnificently manifested for yourself. You can release from the chains by manifesting the key. For every conscious co-creator out there which has reached a level of self-awareness and self-mastery over his own being, enough to be able to act in good faith for and on behalf of the whole consciousness, there are many more whom remain unconscious and create their own and the collective's reality from a reference point which is a distortion of the naturally intended way. Where you have given over your power to another individual, a system or government, you have left yourself open to being manipulated towards a course of action which does not represent the best interests of the individual, the natural path, or the natural holistic state of being, i.e. whole, holy, holy, or wholesome. We are unconsciously, collectively creating in the interests of the negative, artificial system, which is a manipulation of the true nature of being. If you do not take charge of your own energy and direct it to your own will, which is aligned with the good of all, then you are likely supporting a negative agenda by default. This is considered a service to self mentality, and it is not in the best interest of the natural humanity. In my previous presentation, Law by Consent, I spoke of my own perception of reality and experience of the law system, including the legal system. I have expanded on that here and refer to all man-made expressions of law on this plane of existence as the law system, whereas the use of natural law refers to the actual law, the laws which are universal and are the energetic parameters by which this universe and our experience of it is moderated and stabilized, as discussed earlier. This is somewhat apart from what our current physicists have established as their understanding of the laws of physics. These, I suggest, are conclusions about how the universe works and are theories based on their observations and not necessarily true law. The theory of everything is incomplete and only describes what is seen to be the natural state of being, but I would suggest that the observations made are of a distorted reality and will not be reconciled due to the inherent distortions within the field at this level of perception. Regarding polarity, there are really two extremes of polarity within the level of consciousness that we can experience in this dimensional frequency, and that is colloquially expressed as service to self and service to other. They are the negative and positive polarized expressions of consciousness at this current level of development. This is also the artificial and natural expressions of the self. The artificial self expresses service to self, values, and manifests negative energy which is finite. The natural self expresses service to other values without self-sacrifice, which manifests balance or harmony and is a natural state of eternal life force or infinite energy. Based on my own research, intuition and experiences, not only are we connected to each other through an inherent natural force beyond our immediate comprehension, the unified field of energy or source energy, but we are also connected to the wider universe and all of its inhabitants through this greater structure of conscious awareness that is the space-time matrix and greater consciousness beyond the time matrix. If our own thoughts are as energy, and that energy is connected within the greater universal field of connected components of energy, we can clearly see how our thoughts, actions, and indeed unconsciousness could have influence and bearing on the greater reality for better or worse effect. What we think about and focus on is drawn to us in our physical world by being connected to a greater infinite energy matrix or energy grid, which is governed by the laws of energy within the time matrix structure, or the dimensions of frequency. Scientists keenly observe the universe and know that there is much more present in our locality which creates an observable effect, but which has no physical presence within the observable, material physical plane. To my understanding and research, what science calls dark matter is a combination of antimatter and dark energy. If we accept that there is more beyond what we can observe with our physical eyes, then it follows that this is possible, that what we describe as dimensions beyond our own could lay within that dark space or unknown space. It occupies the same space but is of a different frequency not detectable by the human created technology or the limited five sense faculties of our own human biological form. Information received from intelligent higher dimensional sources confirm our current experiences as existing within a time matrix. This is an intentional energetic structure, the nature of which is fundamentally geometric. All things existing within it are connected to the energy structure as its natural state of being, and it is supplied energy through that structure. Everything within the structure is naturally dependent on it for its life support, but where beings have disrupted the flow of energy within their own natural structure, they have limited their own ability to draw on that universal supply of energy. This would give such beings motive to harvest energy from other life forms which still have a natural connection to the energy matrix. Humans in their lower conscious disposition are vulnerable to being taken advantage of in this manner of energy harvesting by more technologically advanced life forms operating in a service to self-expression. Even our fellow humans, family and friends who depend on emotional support, validation of self-worth, etc., can be seen as energy vampirism. We must take action to reconnect to our infinite energy supply from the source energy. It may be true that technology is the advantage of such extra-dimensional life forms, but it is true of the human being that our strength and power lies within our realization of self and the potential capacity for spiritual enlightenment, giving us unlimited access to the multidimensional reality, thereby transcending all limitation, perceived captivity, and energy theft. Whilst we are waging wars and trying to kill, maim, steal, cheat and have something for nothing from someone else, whether we do it ourselves or through agents acting on our behalf, we are perpetually trapped in a lower state of being, of lower consciousness. When we recognise that we can make better choices for ourselves and each other, we transcend the lower dimensions and enter higher conscious living. When we finally see that we are connected as if we are the same soul, the same being, the same consciousness, we can move to a position of loving care for each other, ourselves, and also the environment that we share and depend upon. If we do not learn to care better for each other and the resources which we currently depend upon for our very life and sustenance, then we surely consign ourselves to a dark and finite eventuality. If we can build on being one heart, one mind that chooses unconditional love as the driving intention behind all things, we can move forward and flourish in ways which are as yet unimaginable to the human race, since we have known nothing but war, strife and struggle for eons. Man-made war and man-made law means murder is made legal. These 2D concepts do not absolve us from the reality that killing and harming other beings is just simply murder. I stand firm and declare, not in my name.